Hey everyone, this is Ryan Chen from Loancater. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways small business owners make money by leveraging debt.
The most aggressively marketed product in the United States today is debt. And the borrower is slave the lender.
It's all bullshit. Guys like Ramsey will come in and tell you that all debt is dangerous and that you should never borrow a dollar for your business. But the truth is, the reason your business is stuck is not because you took on debt. It is definitely not because you need to pay for everything in cash. It is simply because you do not understand how debt works as an instrument. Debt is a game of structure. And once you learn how to structure it, making money with it becomes straightforward. So after personally funding over 300 business loans and over 1,000 with my team at Loancater, here are 5 small ways small business owners are making money right now leveraging debt. The first one is equipment and fleet expansions, and that's the most straightforward way debt puts money directly in your pocket. If you are a contractor with more jobs than your crew can handle, but you are turning them down because you do not have a second truck to send out, you finance that truck for $50,000 at 8% over 5 years. That is roughly $1,000 a month in payments, and that truck with a crew on it starts generating $15,000 to $20,000 a month in new revenue that did not exist before you borrowed. Now, Ramsey will tell you to save up and buy it in cash, and that math sounds nice. Until you realize that by the time you have $50,000 safe, those jobs went to your competitor who had the truck 6 months ago and now has the client relationship locked in. That's the real cost of avoiding debt. We're not talking about the interest you save. And I see this on files all the time where a contractor with 1 truck doing $800,000 a year sits next to the one with 5 trucks doing $4 million. And the only difference was the one that financed the fleet and the other one waited. Now, I'm not saying go finance 10 trucks tomorrow. You only do this when the assets generate revenue that exceed the payments by at least 3 to 1. If the truck sits in the lot, that's bad debt. But if it is on a job site every single day bringing in 15 times the monthly payment, that is not slavery like Ramsey calls it. That is debt that actually making you money. This applies to all other equipments and investments other than trucks. The second way is using an SBA loan to acquire other businesses or book up clients. And the reason this one is powerful is because it lets you buy revenue instead of building it from scratch. So instead of spending 5 years trying to grow your client base organically, you build a competitor who already has the clients, the contract, and the recurring revenue, and you absorb all of that on day one. And SBA 7A lets you borrow up to $5 million for an acquisition, around 10 to 13% right now, with terms up to 10 years. And the business you are buying is the collateral. So if you acquire a business doing $500,000 a year in net profit and your annual debt service comes to $200,000, you are netting $300,000 a year from an asset you did not build. You bought it, and the debt is paying for itself out the revenue it generated. Now, Ramsey has said on his show that he really hates the small business administration because they suck. And yes, there's a personal guarantee involved, and that is real. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But the SBA guarantee exists specifically to reduce lender risk so that businesses that would otherwise get declined can access capital at terms that are significantly cheaper than anything else available. So the business owner who use SBA loans correctly are not getting enslaved. They're buying cash flowing assets at single-digit effective rates, while their competitors are either paying 5 times more through short-term capital or not growing at all. Now, this only makes sense when the acquisition makes financial sense, meaning the business you're buying has stable cash flow, the DSCR on the deal is above 1.25, and you're not overpaying for the asset. Because I've seen that go wrong too. And trust me, it is an expensive lesson. The third way is buying a commercial real estate instead of renting it. Now, most business owners overlook this one because they think of their building as an expense, but it does not have to be. When you rent, every payment is gone the moment you send it. You are building your landlord's equity while yours stay at 0. But when you buy the building your business operates out of, every mortgage payment builds equity in an asset that you own, and your business is a tenant paying it off. And SBA 504, for instance, lets you finance owner-occupied commercial property with as little as 10% down at rates currently around 7.5 to 9%, depending on the deal, or terms up to 25 years. So depending on your market and what you negotiate, buying can put you in a position where your mortgage payment is competitive or lower than your current rent. And now every dollar you send goes toward an asset you own instead of one you never will. And if the building has extra space, lease it out. Now your rent is covering part of your mortgage while your business occupies the rest. That is debt making you money in 3 ways at once: equity accumulation, potential cost reduction, and rental income on top. Now Ramsey tells business owners to pay cash for real estate. And if you have 2 million sitting around, sure. But for the other 99% of business owners, a well-structured commercial loan is what makes this possible. And the alternative is spending 20 years writing rent checks that builds someone else's wealth. Then the risk is real though, because if the revenue drops and you cannot cover the mortgage, you are stuck. So you can only do this when your cash flow can carry the payment comfortably, even during a slow quarter. Now, the fourth way is using short-term capital to bridge a specific revenue gap. And this is the one that destroys businesses faster than any other when it is done wrong. But when it is done right, a simple bridge deal can generate more profit than 6 months of normal operation. See, if you had a $400,000 contract, but you need $100,000 upfront for materials and labor, and the client does not pay for 90 days, without that $100,000, you cannot take the job. The contract goes to someone else, and $400,000 in revenue disappears. So if you take a short-term advance, match the payoff to the 90-day window, and when the check clears, you pay it off and pocket the difference. Now that advance might cost you $10,000 to $15,000 in fees, but the profit on the contract is $150,000 to $200,000. It's 10 to 15 times the cost of the borrowed capital on a deal that would not exist without it. Now, this is also the play that destroys businesses when it is done wrong. And I need to be very, very clear about that. Because if you take short-term capital with no clear payoff date and no revenue coming in to cover it, you are just digging a hole. And that hole is turned to a second advance, then a third, and now you're stacking daily debits until the combined post exceeds the original amount you've needed to service the debt in the first place. I have seen this pattern ruin businesses that have plenty of revenue. And this is the exact scenario Ramsey warns about. So I believe he is right about the part because the rule is simple. You only use short-term capital when you know exactly what it is for, you know exactly when the money is coming in to pay it back, and the profit in that deal exceeds the cost by a wide margin. And if any of those threes is missing, you walk away. Now, the fifth and last way might free up more cash than the other four combined. And that is restructuring the debt you already carry. So your total monthly cost drops and the difference goes straight to the bottom line. Because most business owners who come to me have real revenue coming in and their business are generating money, but they are paying 3, 4, 5 times more than they should on a capital that they already borrowed because nobody showed them how to restructure it. So if you're accumulating a $300,000 stacked cash advance with daily debits, pulling $3,000 to $4,000 a day, your monthly debt service is somewhere around $60,000 to $80,000. Now restructure that same $300,000 into a long-term note at 8% over 10 years, and your monthly payment drops to roughly $3,600. That is a $55,000 to $75,000 per month swing. And that is not new revenue, by the way. That is money your business was already generating that was being eaten by that structure. That free up cash flow gives you the breathing room to actually operate, and it improves your DSCR. So the next time you need capital, you qualify for products at 7 or 8% instead of 70. And that compounds because every position you fix makes the next dollar of capital cheaper. Now, this only works if the restructuring makes mathematical sense for your specific file, because refinancing the wrong position first or pulling equity at the wrong time can set you back months. So the sequence matters as much as the decision. Now, I want to be straight with you because I'm not here telling you Dave Ramsey is wrong about everything. If you're borrowing with no plan, exit strategy, and without understanding the terms, that will destroy your business. And as someone who reviews these files every single day, I have seen it happen more times than I can count. So if your business is not profitable, more debt is not the answer. And Ramsey is right about that. And on top of that, if you are making emotional decisions about capital, signing whatever gets approved because you need cash by Friday, that is exactly how your business ends up stacked 3 advances deep. His advice works for people who do not want to learn how debt works. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what he does wrong is telling everyone, every business owner in America, to avoid debt entirely. Because that advice costs more in lost opportunity, overpaid capital, than debt itself ever would. So the real answer is not how to avoid debt or to chase it, but to understand it, structure it correctly, and use it to generate profit that will not exist without the borrowed capital. Now, every one of these 5 plays depends on getting the right structure for your specific situation, because the wrong product, the wrong terms, or the wrong sequence can turn a smart move into an expensive mistake. So, if you want to know which one of these 5 applies to your business and what your specific cheapest path to capital looks like, I will leave a link in the description below where you can contact our team and we will pull your numbers, tell you exactly what you qualify for, and map out what your first move should be. Now, all 5 of these work when your debt is structured correctly. But if your current structure is already costing you more than it should, you need to fix that first. And I made a full video breaking down how to restructure your debt from the ground up. So I'll link that right here.